Well, thank you for coming today. It's great to be here. This is my first post-COVID live cooking demo with samples. So it was kind of back to the future. I've been doing lots and lots of remote classes and I don't have to make samples for the remote classes. So this was a big difference. Um, and then I had to pack everything into boxes and put them in my car. So I was remembering all those times I used to demo at Fred Meyer and all sorts of different places, but it's great to be here. I like this venue. It's very Portland. So what I want to focus on is I called this session Decrease the Meat in Favorite Easy Dishes because a lot of my students want to replace meat with something equally delicious, in their opinion. I haven't eaten meat in 44 years, so I wouldn't know, I guess. And they also don't want to rely on Impossible Burgers, Beyond Burgers, frozen crumbles, frozen chicken pieces. Some of those can get quite expensive. Some of them have processed ingredients in them. So what I wanted to do was kind of bridge the gap with whole food plant-based recipes. Now, some of these take a little, you have to learn how to make some of these things, like how to do soy curls, which we're going to do, and how to build up an umami base in a beefy crumble or a burger. So what I'm hoping is most of you will say, hey, I want to try soy curls, and start to practice that and get good at it, because once you get good at it, you can make several batches at once. In many cases, you can freeze, like the black bean burger is easy to freeze and defrost. Once you have a dozen bean burgers in your freezer, you're good to go for a while. So I'm hoping you see a spark of something you like and you can start to put that in your rotation. So I'm going to demo fairly quickly in sort of a shortened way with some shortcuts. So I'm going to start, if you have a recipe handout, I'm going to start with the beefy crumbles for Mexican dishes. So this one starts with getting a sheet pan ready, and I realized this morning at about 11 o'clock I didn't have enough regular size sheet pans, so this is too small. You do need a sheet pan because this is going in the oven. I don't cook with oil, so I don't do a lot of sauteing things with oil in skillets. But so we're going to bake these crumbles at the end. So what we start with is sauteing, and I've already sauteed mushrooms, onion, and garlic. So you can just imagine me cooking those in a skillet, but through the magic of preparation, that's done. The other thing I wanted to highlight was you can do like everything I've prepped here that I'm saying, you can do too, like the day before. So I like to do kind of a half and half if I can. Pre-prep one day, finish it the next, if you can, sort of to break up the burden. And then the mushrooms have a lot of umami flavor, so that's good for these crumbles. And then I'm using some tofu as well because I want to get that protein from tofu. It actually, once you roast tofu, it really has a nice texture as well. So I use a pastry cutter. I don't know who has a pastry cutter, but you could also use a potato masher. It is good not to have the tofu in larger pieces. So I've already, this is extra firm tofu. Yep, it's extra firm. And then walnuts have a nice, dense texture, chewy texture. Again, we want to get something that feels chewy and has a lot of flavor. So I'm using finely chopped walnuts. And then we have lots of spices here, which I've put in one container. We have chili powder, cumin, smoked paprika. I hope most of you have smoked paprika in your kitchen. It's just a wonder spice, right? So smoked paprika, oregano, regular paprika for gentle heat. And then I've given you a range of red pepper flakes if you want a little more bite to it. So I put all those in heat. in here. And then the last ingredient here is Bragg's liquid amino. You could use soy sauce. Both of those fermented soy have a lot of umami. Justine in the back as well have a lot of umami flavor. So that is another thing. We sort of, meat, for better or for worse, has that umami flavor that a lot of people are used to and sort of has built-in complexity because the animal has eaten a complex diet. So we have to kind of build the complexity ourselves with the plants. We just stir these. So again, if you've pre-prepped, these come together easily. They're not going to hold together like our black bean burger mixture. We want this to be loose because it's going to be these crumbles. Then all you do is spread this mixture on a sheet pan. I'll put half of it because this is a quarter sheet pan. And just spread it out. And then what you do is bake it at 400 degrees for, is it 12? 15 minutes, and then use a spatula, toss, stir, and bake it for another 8 to 10 minutes until it looks like this. So this is what I pulled out of my oven this morning. So you see how it darkened up compared to, this is before we put it into the oven, and this is after we put it into the oven. And it, I wasn't, quote, going for the color of ground beef, but so this has a Mexican flavor to the spices. So if you think about it, you can use this in tacos, you can use it in burritos, you can use it on nachos, you can use it on tostadas, you could make, rice in a bowl. So there's lots and lots of, I think Deb is going to make a nacho cheese sauce at 310, so you can combine some things from our sessions. So these again can be frozen, you could thaw them. So I think these could be quite versatile. If it's something that interests you, it could be versatile and you could just sort of have it around. So let's go on to soy curls. So the cool thing I like about soy curls is that they were made and trademarked and invented in Oregon. Yes, and they were trademarked and protected, and so nobody else can make soy curls except Butler. They're in, now you longer-term Oregonians, how do you say Grand Ronde? Grand Ronde, is that about right? Yeah, so that's where they are located. You can buy soy curls directly from them. I like to buy the 6-pack from them to sort of protect, to give them my business directly, but they are available at Amazon and other online outlets. Also, natural grocers, New Seasons, in bulk at People's. Market of choice as well. Okay, so they are available and they're great as sort of a substitute for chicken pieces. The other nice thing about them is they are completely cooked. They're basically 100% soybeans, nothing taken out. So they have fiber and protein, which is great. And they basically, at Butler, they soak them, they cook them, they mush them, and then they put them through an expeller. So they come out these funny little shapes, funny little dry shapes. And then you rehydrate them and then cook them. Now, a lot of recipe developers online say rehydrate them, drain them, squeeze them, then heat some oil in a skillet and fry them. But I don't use oil, so I'm going to show you a different technique here. But if you go online and you use oil, there's lots of ways to cook them. But I often cook them in the oven with some kind of coating on them. They taste decent, but they taste even better if you have a coating on them and then you roast them, and that's what I'm going to do. So first, again, we line a sheet pan Once again, this is a small sheet pan because I ran out of regular sheet pans today. So I reconstituted these soy curls in vegetable broth and a little bit of soy sauce. In my cookbook, plant-based anti-inflammatory cookbook, I give you a recipe for vegetable broth powder, which you can use in soups and all sorts of places where you need. It's really convenient, just like scoop up a teaspoon for every cup of vegetable broth powder. So these get even more tasty if you reconstitute them in broth and if you add a little, again, umami with the soy sauce. So 10 minutes is all you need. Then you strain them and have to squeeze them, and I will have to use 2 hands for this. So in most applications of soy curls, you want to really use that grip strength and get as much liquid out as you can. It's slightly ironic because they're dry, then you reconstitute them, then you roast them to dry them out a little, but there is logic. They still have some moisture in them. They do expand, they get bigger. So those are our soy curls. I'm going to set them aside. And then I'm going to make the satay sauce. So I need half a cup of water. And then we need some, peanut butter. Could you read those off to me? Peanut butter.
And then unsweetened shredded coconut.
So then unsweetened shredded coconut. I don't like to use a lot of coconut milk. So a little unsweetened coconut.
Date syrup or maple syrup.
Okay, then I think I put all the rest of these. So then I have some date syrup or maple syrup, some curry paste. I used red curry paste and soy sauce or tamari, lime juice, and a little bit of tahini. So all those help the texture, get that sauce texture, that velvety sauce texture, and of course that Thai flavor. Oh, here they come. Let's wait a little bit. Want to build up anticipation. All right. I'm going to use my, for small recipes, I use my smoothie blender. Okay. I'm going to walk over there. All right. This won't take too long.
So what kind of blender is that, Linda?
This is a NutriBullet 900. NutriBullet. Okay. And this sauce thickens as you use it. Justine, could you hold the, sorry. I forgot I had to do this part. So the beauty of this and the beauty of plant-based cooking is you don't have to worry about cross-contamination. Like if you put your chicken in here, there's no way you can use this as a dipping sauce. But if I put my soy curls in here, I can use it as this dipping sauce afterwards as well because there's no, bacteria that's going to go back and forth. So that's one of the beauties I love about plant-based cooking. So we're going to use this sauce first as a coating and then as the dipping sauce. And if you've been to a Thai restaurant and you've seen the chicken satay, you can do the same thing with reconstituted soy curls. So I'm going to put the soy curls in here in the sauce so they get some flavor. And then I'm going to zigzag them onto this skewer which I have pre-soaked in water because it's going to go into the oven, so we don't want it to char. That one is not cooperating at this speed. So see that nice sort of chicken satay. And, you know, frankly, when I make these during the week for dinner, I don't put them on skewers. I just lay them on the pan. But I wanted to show you this. And if you had guests and you wanted to say, hey, let's have satay. Okay. Whoa, this is a huge, look at that one. Whoa, that's its own personal, here's a meal right there. Okay, why don't we stop there? And then I will show you what I made this morning. This is a full batch. So it makes 12 of these. And you can see they roast up a little bit, so they have a nice color and a little crispiness, but tender in the middle. This makes 12. If you have about 36 soy curls, it makes about 12. Or again, you can just put the soy curls right on the pan with the silicone mat or the parchment paper. So those are our satay skewers. And then once you've used all the soy curls out of the sauce, then you use the rest of the sauce as a dipping sauce. So if you were going to make a bowl instead, you could put rice, then some of these curls, and then the satay sauce, which is exactly what we did for your samples. So let's hand out the samples now. Soy curls can be used in so many ways. So I have recipes. I have a couple recipes in my cookbook. One is kung pao soy curls, where they're roasted in an Asian sauce with broccoli and red pepper with some peanuts. Super good. Also another one that's fajitas with peppers and soy curls. So lots of different ways you can use soy curls. So if you do, you start to get used to using soy curls, they can go into pastas, they can go into stir fries, really easy into stir fries, and all sorts of things instead of using chicken. Okay. Let's go on to the final recipe, which is black bean burgers. And you say, veggie burgers? Wow, Back to the Future. But I find that there are many veggie burger recipes that are either mushy or they fall apart or they don't taste good. And so I have been perfecting this black bean burger recipe for a long time, and I deglutenized it a couple of years ago. So I think it ticks all the boxes, and you'll be able to taste that. So the first thing about veggie burgers that's critical is that they don't fall apart. So what I came up with is using chia seeds, but not just chia seeds, but grinding them up. So you can actually grind up chia seeds in a bullet blender or in a spice blender or a coffee grinder. So I have a tablespoon of chia seeds that I ground up, and then I'm going to now just stir with a fork with a 1/4 cup of water. So it becomes like an egg, but it's even stronger than an egg. It's like glue, really. So but it doesn't taste like glue. All right. Where is that water? All right. Thank you. So there's 1/4 cup of water. Once you grind up your chia seeds, it's more like it almost doubles the volume. And then once you stir it up, you stir those seeds up with the water, it immediately gets really thick, so you want to whisk with a fork or a whisk pretty fast. Because just think of all that surface area of chia seeds that's there now, not just the seeds. So there's our chia seed egg, which is, you can already see. Yeah, yeah. So we're going to put that to work for the good. So we're going to let that sit while we assemble everything else. So one nice thing about this, and this is, that lends it a lot of flavor, is this combination of vegetables: mushrooms, pepper, celery, onion, and is it garlic? Yeah, garlic. So I water sauteed these in a skillet earlier today. So they're done. And then I'm going to start putting things into the food processor. There's our sauteed vegetables. I'm going to put the chia seed mixture toward the bottom as well, so it gets well integrated. Then, of course, it wouldn't be black bean burgers without the black beans. So I opened these, rinsed them, drained them, put them back in the can. And then walnuts again, and you could, substitute other nuts. They just lend a nice crunch and density to it, and a really nice, like, side flavor, hidden flavor, subtle flavor. And then we need something to absorb any extra moisture, so we're going to use some quick oats. You could use breadcrumbs, yep. I like the quick oats in this just because I don't want big pieces of oat in there. I don't want to see and taste it that much. You could, but I think it's a little safer that the oat will absorb the moisture. So I have all my liquid ingredients here: ketchup, mustard, soy sauce. I believe I used Bragg's. And, Bragg's, it has, I think we talked about it, right? Similar to soy sauce in that it's made from fermented soybeans. It lends a lot of umami flavor. And because it has salt in it, you don't have to add extra salt. So let me do these spices. Montreal steak seasoning. You can use any kinds of spices that you like. But Montreal has a nice combination of peppers and other flavors. It also has salt, so if you're not doing salt, you want to be careful about that one. I like Italian herbs. Somehow that adds a little nuance, a little grassiness. And then smoked paprika, our favorite. So we're going to use almost a teaspoon of that. All right. And then, so I like to also really be careful not to over process. So you want to still see some of those peppers, some of those black beans. So as I was making all these samples over and over, I figured do 8 pulses and then stir it a little and then do 2 more. So let's see if I can do that in real time. 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 8. Okay. Then we're gonna wipe it down. So I can still see some beans. I can see some oats. Now everybody's food processor is different. Okay, and those were longer pulses. Okay. All right. So now I want to just show you a quick trick if I have time. Yep. Again, line a sheet pan, not a 13 by 9 pan. But I didn't have enough sheet pans at home, so we'll just make a couple of these patties. Wanted to show you a little hack for making perfectly round veggie burgers. So if you're having company or you just want to have some fun, you take a peanut butter jar lid or anything that's 3 or 4 inches. You need one piece of plastic wrap. You're going to reuse it over and over. You don't have to use one for each patty. And then I'll be back. Okay. About a 1/4 cup into the lid with the plastic wrap on top. And then you spread it out into the lid. And then make sure the sides aren't too high. That's what I've discovered I do. And then turn it over. Lift off this lid. And then lift off the plastic wrap. And you have a gorgeously round veggie burger. Yes, that hack deserves applause on its own. And one more. And then I'll show you just there you go. So that's easy. Or, you can always do it the old-fashioned way, which is grab a small ball in your hand and pat it out. Well, for that rustic look. Yeah, so it's good to keep them pretty thin. They may not cook all the way through if you have real thick ones. So I like to say about a 1/2 inch. And let me wipe off my hand. Because once again, because I don't use oil, I don't cook these in a skillet or a frying pan. I bake them. So this is, I think, 425. First for 15 minutes, then flick them over for another 8 to 10 minutes. So that also helps get that moisture out of there so they're just right. They're moist but not mushy. Don't want mushy. So let me show you what a full batch is, which I made this morning. Yep. Whoops. They slid around in the car, I think. But there you go. So this is what one batch looks like. So if you can imagine, you could even double the recipe and make 2 pans like this. You can freeze these. They can go basically cool them straight into the freezer, have a couple. And then you can crumble these into soups. You can make wraps with them, room temperature. You could make, obviously, any kind of burger. You could even use them in spaghetti. I wouldn't cook them a long time. Once they're cooked, you don't want to sort of cook them in a sauce for a long time, but they're very versatile. You can make a bowl with them. They can serve as the protein in a bowl. They go with lots of different sauces. So this is another way to decrease the meat by, again, getting familiar with the recipe, practicing it several times, and then you've got it down. Okay, we put a little ketchup and mustard and a little pickle. So
We're hoping people have held on to their forks.
if you haven't held on to your forks,
We'll
put some with forks in there. Any questions about the bean burgers? Yes.
Do you have any rough idea how much protein one of the burgers?
I believe there's about It's either 6 or 9 grams of protein in each burger. Yeah. The chia seeds have protein, the black beans have proteins, the nuts. All right, well, thank you so much for coming. I'm happy to, thank you. It was such an honor to be asked to the new generation of Veg Fest. Thank you all for coming to the festival, and especially thank you for coming to my demo. I really appreciate it. I have my email address on the recipe handout, so please contact me if you have any questions. And my book is available on Amazon. It's also available everywhere you buy books. So thank you to those of you who have already bought it. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for your hard work.
Yes.